There's an old maxim that goes, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I like to live by that motto, especially being a heterosexual alpha male when there's so few of us left. It's important to understand the minds of our enemies. So, that being said, I've got to hand it to the folks at Everything is Terrible. They shared my anti-Jerry Maguire pyramid video, and I'm sure they had a fit of laughter watching it. They couldn't imagine why somebody would stand up against idolatry and blasphemy in this terrible year of our Lord 2016. They sent their fans trolling after me, which guys at Everything is Terrible, believe me, I'm not too worried about a few internet tough guys telling me that they don't like my video. I've grown up around Washington, D.C. I work security. I've seen some things. Corrosion is when a chemical or agent grafts itself onto another chemical or agent and essentially becomes like a parasite on it. Now, we see this, for instance, with iron. When oxygen gets to it, it rusts. Rust itself is not a thing. This is just a law of physics. I've been following Everything is Terrible to try and understand just what they are. And I realized it. They are a corrosion. Everything they do is turned inward to their own inner ugliness, their self-hatred and loathing. Let's start with the name. Everything is Terrible. Well, it's, first of all, an affront to decency. It's a blasphemy, because if God created everything and he saw that his creation was good, then certainly couldn't say everything is terrible. Yet, these liberal social justice warriors at Everything is Terrible insist on taking old Christian videos and repurposing them, grafting themselves onto it like a corrosive agent, an acidic, nasty little brain parasite that latches itself on to honest Christian productions. And they remix this footage. And then they put it out and make it sort of obscene and give it uncomfortable edits. And yet they relish in this. Because if everything is terrible, you want to keep reaffirming that belief. It's never enough to just accept it. You always have to keep injecting it into yourself like a drug. It courses through your body. And when that high is gone, you need another fix. Everything is Terrible has been repurposing people's footage for years. But that wasn't enough. No, the liberals cannot produce anything on their own. In fact, they don't even like being happy. You give them something, they don't want it. You tell them no, that's what they want. And, you know, us conservatives tried to play nice with them for a long time. But they're leaving us no choice. Now, what Everything is Terrible is doing is acting out this ritual of self-abuse. It's basically what liberalism is in a nutshell, which is a suicide cult. They're not happy until they've utterly annihilated themselves, and they can't stand seeing other people being happy. So if other people want to be happy, no, they say everything is terrible. Think about what it takes, the sheer force of will to inflict ugliness on yourself every day. Understanding the pain it causes yourself and the disconnection and isolation from others. And yet you still need to do it because you're addicted to this. Think about why do liberals love terrorists so much? They love anything that's destructive. It has nothing to do with their supposed SJW ideology. So, when repurposing other people's videos wasn't enough, what did Everything Terrible do? Everything is terrible to do. Whatever. Oh, I'm sure they're going to try and get me on that. They set out on creating a very ugly, mundane, idolatrous, blasphemous monument. The Jerry Maguire Pyramid. No, they didn't want something at least made out of DVDs. They wanted to build it out of VHS. Just to show they want to flaunt in your face this mundanity and ugliness by using a format that's easily degraded in the sun, in extreme temperatures, that's played at very low resolution. That's an analog technology. It gives a tactile feel, a sense of discomfort when you go up against it. You know, we all remember having to take time to rewind tapes before we wanted to watch a movie, or sometimes having to check out a movie at Blockbuster and then seeing, oh, the tape hasn't been rewound. We got to rewind it right now. Everything is terrible is like a horrible ringleader that doesn't want to get their hands dirty. We can see this with other feminist social justice warrior regimes throughout history, or even small groups of them, like Charles Manson, who was a social justice warrior. He loved the Beatles. What did they say? Everything is, all you need is love. The Bible's got a lot more than love, folks. Yes, there is love, but there's also justice. And no, not social justice, which just means you have to personally drive a parade float at a gay pride parade, or else you can be put in jail. You know, everything is terrible. They love their safe spaces. They want to make their art project, their art installation. Please don't tamper with it. And then they take religious trappings from Judeo-Christian traditions and pretend they have their own sacred. They want this pyramid. Oh, it's a sacred thing. It's art. It's their livelihood. What do these people do? They put together this pyramid, and notice, first of all, it's not even something that has a variety of looks to it. They deliberately want something that's like this dull Chinese water torture beaten over your head. Every tape looks the same as the other. So what are they saying? There's no differences between everyone. Everyone's the same. Everything is terrible. I hate everything. But like Charles Manson, he didn't want to be the one who got his hands dirty. No. He set the example for others and gave the orders. So Everything is Terrible wants to create this pyramid, but guess who's going to activate it to finally create the demon forge necessary, like a beacon that will send out a signal in a high tower, like the Tower of Babel. And who's going to receive that signal? Well, they have several names. Beelzebub, Pan, Pazuzu. demons, imps. And all these atheists want to go out to the desert and worship at this pyramid of Jerry Maguire VHS tapes filled with carved idols. And the tapes are all the same, just like we're supposed to be all the same. They're saying there's no differences between men and women. Oh, and you have to respect that. It's a safe space. You need their art installation in their hippy-dippy liberal world to be safe for them. But if you even want to mention the Bible on Twitter, you can get banned. You know, YouTube and Facebook are currently giving the infrastructure to support Everything is Terrible's liberal demon spawn summoning device. And yet, if I even say anything about it and try and protest Facebook or YouTube, they're going to say I'm engaging in hate speech. But the fact is, men and women are different. We're complementary. One is not complete without the other. And why Everything is Terrible wants to imply otherwise? You know, it's funny. They won't come out and say exactly what they stand for with this pyramid. They want people to come there. They want everyone to accept that everything is terrible. And yet, they're the ones who are sitting back and laughing at the rest of you, at you sycophants. At you Janie-come-latelys and Johnny-come-latelys who want to come by and say, oh, this is so cool, this is the latest trend. Wow, I'm going to get my new sneakers and the latest Taylor Swift album and flit about and buy some handbags with my girlfriends and take pictures of it and get some extra Facebook likes. Because just like demons, even demons know that people are miserable in hell. You know, this is why I've spoken out so strongly against Buddhism, because like the suicide cult of liberalism that Everything is Terrible engages in, Buddhism strives toward annihilation. This is why you see so many liberals in California and New York especially gravitating towards Buddhism. They know their lives are meaningless. They don't produce anything. They graft themselves onto productive people and want to destroy. So what did Everything is Terrible create? They didn't make a movie. They didn't create all that footage from those videos they remix. You can almost feel the disdain in their projects that they have for themselves and others. It's like a junkie trying to offer you some drugs. Yeah, you'll have fun for a moment, but even the junkie knows you're going to be in pain very soon. And it got me thinking, what's going to be next after the Jerry Pyramid? We live in this degenerate modern age in which anything goes and everything's acceptable. You have to tolerate everyone. Tolerance. Of course, if Christian men want to be tolerated, well, then no. We're apparently violating speech codes and have to be censored and have our lives destroyed. Folks, we are facing what is potentially the most catastrophic and imminent collapse since the fall of Rome. what I noticed when I looked at these Jerry Maguire tapes and these sick little preview videos that Everything is Terrible put up is the crimson red in them. The color of blood. And I got to thinking, well, what else do liberals love as much as the idea of destruction and hatred? The only thing they love as much as that is abortion. So I think what they're going to do eventually is ask women to send in their abortions, their aborted babies. And they're going to build a pyramid out of that. And everyone's going to come to the desert and think, by then it's going to be totally normal. I know even now it might frighten liberals a little bit. And women are going to be wanting to be part of the latest trend and sending their aborted fetuses to Everything is Terrible and saying, I didn't feel like giving birth today, so I'm just going to have an abortion. And I don't want it to show that I'm pregnant on Instagram. I'll get less regrams and retweets and likes on Facebook. And meanwhile, the father is devastated. But we all have to keep up with the Joneses, don't we? But folks, you may be wondering, well, Angelo, what are you going to do? Aren't you worried about all this? Perhaps, in a way. But we make our own reality. And if you believe everything is terrible, sure, you might win a few battles, but it's not sustainable. It's so destructive that eventually it's going to cannibalize itself. This whole liberal Jerry Maguire movement. But if you're on God's side, you have something that will sustain you in dark moments. Oh, sure, we may be down right now, us anti-Jerry pyramid activists. But we've been down before. But with God on our side, well, I don't have to tell you how God and the church have changed history. So, to repurpose something of my own from Jerry Maguire, no, don't show me the money. Show me a man who is righteous unto the Lord. Stay righteous, folks. Angelo out.